Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the October Board of Adjustments, Court of Appeals. My name's Larry Otterback. It's just a little after 9 o'clock and we are now in session. Morning. We have two cases before us this morning. The procedures will be the same for both cases. Here in a minute, I'm going to call staff forward, raise your right hand, be sworn in. Steve will read the case. Staff will give a staff report. There'll be a round of questioning by board members to staff. When we're done with that, staff's going to take a seat, and I'm going to call you, the applicant, forward. You can come forward, raise your right hand, state your name and address, be sworn in, and tell us what it is that you'd like to do. You have 20 minutes to do so. Clock is on the wall. Following that, there will be a round of questioning by board members to you, the applicant. When we're done with that, you may take a seat, and I'll call forward anybody that wishes to speak in favor, and then those opposed. You'll have 10 minutes to tell us why you're in favor and 10 minutes why you're opposed. There'll probably be a round of questioning by board members to those in favor and those opposed. When we're done with that, you may take a seat, and I'll call the applicant forward for any rebuttals, and then rebuttals by opposition, and then final statements. When we're done, I'll open it up to the board for any questions to anybody in the audience. And when we're done with that, I'll close the floor for public hearing. We'll open it up for general discussion among the board members, and then call for an up and down vote. Please make sure your cell phones are off or on vibrate. If you need to take a call or use your phone, please excuse yourself from the court. Do whatever you need to. Just make sure it's off or on vibrate when you come back in. Board members, please make sure your phones are off and make sure your mics are on. Please remember to direct any questions to staff to only procedural type or process type. Any testimony should be directed to the applicants. With that, let's swear staff in.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Steve, you want to read the first one?
Yes, sir. Docket OC 17024. An application has been filed requesting conditional use permit with parking surface waiver for a private club on property located at 7300 West Highway 42, Goshen.
Good morning, Brooke Beeman, planner with Oldham County Planning and Development Services. As Mr. Davis stated, the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit with a parking surface waiver for a private club on 7.8 acres. The zoning is AG1 and the land use is residential. This is an aerial view of the site. The property in question is outlined in red, located off Highway 42. This is an area view. The hashed line is the existing drive and parking area, and the gray structure is the existing home. So this may look a little bit familiar to you. You saw this earlier in 2017 in February. An application was filed by Donnie and Stephanie Benefield for a conditional use permit for a bed and breakfast. It was approved on a vote of 5-0. This also almost came before you in November 2016, but was withdrawn, and that was for a bed and breakfast and private club, and that was a separate applicant. So the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to operate a private event space out of an existing home. The applicant does not live at this location. They live at the adjoining property to the east, which is 7200 West Highway 42. The 6,882 square foot home contains 6 bedrooms, which can currently be rented collectively or per bedroom, and that comes directly from the case in February of 2017. The applicant wants to provide a space for small events such as retreats, business meetings, family reunions, small weddings, etc. The proposed maximum capacity is 50 people. And you have a sheet that talks about their justification regarding lighting, waste management, and noise, but I did outline that on the next slide. Maybe not. Okay. So this is the south view, looking from Highway 42 into the property. You can see the home slightly from the entrance. And just coming down that entrance, you can see the home. And this is a closer view. Yes, so noise, this is directly from the justification statement. Outside events will only be on Friday and Saturday nights. Everything else will be contained to the home. Regarding lighting, outside lighting would be contained to the backyard, which is secluded from neighboring properties. Regarding waste management, trash pickup occurs once a week, and the current system has capacity for small events. So justification for the project, the conditional use permit includes it fills a need for small event spaces in Oldham County, promotes tourism and commerce in Oldham County. The integrity and character of the area will be maintained due to the small scale event opportunities on a 7.8 acre tract, and existing trees and vegetation currently screen the adjoining properties. So section 26340 covers conditional use standards for private clubs. The first one, it meets all three there. The second one is highlighted in red because it would not meet the parking surface requirement, which is a non-dusting all-weather type. Parking for up to 10 vehicles will be allowed along a circular driveway in front of the home. Additional parking for up to 20 vehicles will be permitted in the front and side yard, which is currently a flat and grassy area. So the applicant is requesting a parking surface waiver from section 26340, which is number 2, which states roads and parking area shall be of a non-dusting all-weather type. This is the site plan that the applicant provided. You can see the existing drive, and then there is a circular paved area close to the home that provides close to 10 vehicles, possibly more if you squeezed them in there. And then they've outlined the general location of where the additional vehicles could park if necessary. And he did say it was 80 by 90. And close to 329 feet from the front property line. So this is not to scale, but this is outlined in yellow is the general location that the applicant is proposing to have the additional parking. This is the southwest view, so I'm standing at the very front of the entrance. By 42, and I'm looking into the property. So this is looking into the general area that the parking would be located. And this is the northwest view. So this is actually standing in the circle, the parking circle, and looking back towards Highway 42 to the west there. That's the general location that the applicant is proposing to provide additional parking if necessary. And just another view into the west. And if you look in the right-hand corner, I provided an aerial map for you to see just how the adjoining property owner to the west might be impacted. This is the parking circle looking east towards 7200 West Highway 42. This is the applicant's home. And just another view looking deeper into the east. Justification for the parking waiver includes addition of pavement to the front of the property would be visible from Highway 42, would not complement the character of the area. Existing trees and vegetation currently screen adjoining properties, and additional evergreen trees will be planted on the western property line to help screen the adjoining property from the vehicular use area and meet the landscaping requirements. So if you remember, number 4 in the conditional use standards requires any private club to meet landscaping requirements that apply. It's a little confusing because we don't actually have recreational field landscaping requirements. Maybe they meant to add them in at some point, but we don't have those. So the only landscaping requirement that applies in this situation is from section 370, vehicular use area perimeter planting, which states distance of vehicular use area from property line is greater than or equal to 50 feet, and VUA is adjacent to any residential use. So it does meet that standard. So the requirement would be a 3-foot high continuous screen for at least 50% of the vehicular use area. I spoke to the applicant, and the applicant did agree to plant additional evergreen trees on that western property line to meet this screening requirement. So again, this is the west view, and you can see a little break here in the tree screening, so this would be an ideal location for those evergreen trees. This is the northwest view, so looking towards Highway 42, you can see again just another break in that tree line. This is the northeast view, so Highway 42 to the north, and then the corner of 7200 Highway 42, which is the applicant's property. And the east view of the applicant's property. So in summary, the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit for a private event venue on 7.837 acres. That comes directly from section, I believe it should be 26030, conditional uses in AG1 district, which is a private club. And the applicant is also requesting a parking surface waiver. So they're asking for you to waive the requirement that their parking area in the front of the property be a non-dusting all-weather type, which would basically just be pavement. And that's all I have.
Good morning, Brooke.
Good morning.
So a couple questions. Actually, this slide answered my one. Those are we were being asked to consider two things.
Yes, correct.
Right. Now, regarding the item 2, the non-dusting all-weather type, is it your testimony that only pavement would suffice, or would something more porous like brick or paver stones or such?
Could probably do brick pavers or stones. Yeah,
Okay,
that would meet the requirement.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt. And in any case, whatever was being considered is also required by other sections to be screened with landscaping.
Yes, the applicant has agreed to meet that requirement.
All right, thank you.
Brooke, I've got a question regarding the history. So in 2016, they came before us for a bed and breakfast private club with a parking surface waiver, very similar to today. That application was withdrawn. In 2017, they came for a conditional use for a bed and breakfast, which was approved. So why today are we asking for the two? I understand the parking surface waiver, but why are we also asking for, it seems like we've already granted this conditional use permit.
Well, the 2016 request was a different applicant.
Okay,
First of all, that was Carmen and Tim Stolt.
Okay.
They withdrew their application because the applicant here today actually purchased the property. And they came before you in February 2017 asking for a conditional use permit for a bed and breakfast only.
okay.
Today, they're here to ask for a conditional use permit for a private club, which is different than a bed and breakfast. And you can ask him why now. That would be
Okay.
a question for him.
Okay, other questions for Brooke? Thank you. Okay, if we can have the applicant come forward. Good morning.
Good morning. How's it going?
Great. If you can raise your right hand, state your name and address.
Johnny Benefield, 7200 West Highway 42, Goshen.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Hey, Donnie, if you'd like to tell us anything addition?
Well, in regard to adding the private club deal, we've had a lot of requests you know, we've hosted several events there, not events per se. People rented the place for family reunions type stuff. But I've also had people ask about, showers. Can we rent it for the day? Can we, do a small wedding there? Well, I could do that, but, I'm not doing it legally. I need to have the private club or that to be able to do that. So that's why I'm here today, to add that so I can, be upfront. This is what I can do. I want to keep it very small. 50 people is the max to fit in with what I got. All my neighbors I have a vested interest in. I know every one of them. Talk to them 2 or 3 times a week. So I want this to fit in with what we've already got there and just a quiet area where people can come and enjoy what they're doing. I'll step forward a little bit. The parking surface deal, that is just if you have overflow parking. That'll be once in a blue moon that somebody's going to park in the grass. That's all it is. Just so, if we have more than, I can probably park 20 there easy. So if we had 10 more vehicles, we'd park them in the grass right there, which very rarely would that ever happen. I don't know. I mean, everything I've been to Kentucky, I either parked in a pasture or a cornfield. So, but anyway, so that's basically it. It's just, we didn't know that we would get these type of requests. So I would have probably went and did this the first time we came here. But I want to do it on the up and up and, not, do anything that we're not supposed to be doing. So.
Okay.
As part of the presentation, there was a discussion of only Friday and Saturday for some parts of that. Was
That's
that
if we
just-
had it, if it was a wedding per se. And like I said, this is speculation that what might happen. That would be the only 2 nights that I would allow an outdoor party type situation. And that would be up until 10 o'clock or whatever the time frame that the county has, And that would be, the noise would be coming back towards our house. Like I said, I live right next door. I have small kids. I can control what happens there. And like I said, I have neighbors, the people on one side. I've spoke to all of them. Everybody's okay with this. I met my last neighbor in the elevator a while ago. So I understand. I want to keep this a quiet, space and fit into what we got going on out there. That's the reason I bought the place in the first time, in the first place.
So my question is actually
Sure.
a little different than I think what you're answering. My question is more along the lines of if you're going to do something outside and you're doing where I have my family reunions, they're usually on Sunday afternoons. And so you're not restricting yourself.
Well, I
to
said
just-
Friday. You said Friday and Saturday nights. Yeah, the afternoon.
Yeah, I was trying to go off of what the presentation said. I want to get the conditions right of what you're asking for so that we're all clear on what the conditions
Sure.
are. So on
Well,
after.
Okay, for the afternoons and all, I'm not sure. I didn't understand your question. I was thinking more later into the evening where it would impact.
Brooke, can you pull
people.
that up, please? I just want to be clear about the conditions of what we're talking about.
So he says outside noise would only be allowed on Friday and Saturday nights.
What I mean there, if it was like I said, a small wedding or something,
Yeah.
that they might have music playing or something like that. That would, yeah, but like an afternoon thing that's, it's a family reunion, that would be more like kids playing and people talking, I would think.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay, just trying to
I was
clarify.
just addressing the part that if there was somebody gonna be out there after dark. So,
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
Well, just to go off of that, you threw out, you threw out 10 o'clock. And I know you did that very quickly.
I was just saying that, just a time, I don't really
I
know
understand.
what.
So to go off what, I think where Rob was going with this, just trying to buckle down some conditions.
Sure.
Would it be fair to say that you would have, no noise and lighting, all outside activity would stop by a certain time at night on any given night? So at midnight, at any night, there will be no outside activity regarding,
Now, I would say to fit into what we have going on there, it's gonna be around 10 o'clock. There may be 10:30, it's hard to just set a time, but like I said, the noise pollution or the light pollution, you know, it's secluded back there anyway.
I think what was going wrong with what you're going is we're talking about like projected, someone on a microphone with a speaker or someone
Right.
projecting music.
Sure.
That's what what I was thinking about is some projected.
So like no amplified music after this time, whatever time you all come up with.
Amplified sound, because I wouldn't include if you wanted to get up there and sing or something, you know.
I consider music.
But yeah, we need to set up probably a time for something like that is what I was trying to go after. So would that be the 10 o'clock?
That would be fine. I mean, like I said, more what we're looking for is the low key, you know, people want to come out, you know, fellowship together. You know, I'm not, you know, I don't want to host Run DMC having a concert out there. So, you know, it's not a public, it's just wanted to fit in with what we got going on.
So Donnie, how many parking spaces do you currently have there?
You could easily park 20, you know, on
On the driveway
on the
and-
asphalt.
On the asphalt,
Like I
okay.
said, with the number we're trying to keep, it would be very rare if we had anything that would even have to pull off the,
And are you asking just to have that off driveway parking, just to be in the grass?
just in case I need it, yeah, just on the grass.
On the-
Just
yeah.
basically just pulling from here to Brook off the
Yeah,
asphalt.
okay.
I don't want to pave anything, I don't want to change the way the place looks, anything.
And on the diagram that Brooke showed, there was a drawing that showed 329 feet from the
Yeah,
road to
it's
the...
over, it's about 350 feet from the road, down there.
Was
where
that to the circle?
No, that's before you get to the circle. So I was just designating that little spot if we needed overflow
Yeah.
to pull off right there, because it's still from the road, you can't hardly see it.
Yeah, so 329 feet from the road to where you are proposing this additional parking. All right.
So my question, and I think we've covered it, but no gravel, no pea gravel, anything like that is gonna be placed, it's gonna be purely on grass.
Because I don't think we'd use it enough to even do that. So I want to, like I said, I want to keep the grass, as much as I hate to mow it twice a week. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
want to change.
That was gonna be my question.
Yeah. Like I said, I want to leave it, you know, the grounds and everything just like it looks, just old southern plantation type, you know, not a parking lot coming in.
So why are you proposing to have additional parking at all?
Just in case. I guess I didn't need to, because I don't foresee it happening, but it was just in case. You know, when I came and spoke to Brooke, she goes, you know, "Did you think you may have more?" I said, "I don't know." She goes, "Well, why don't we go ahead and do this while we're doing it?" So,
Of the people that have requested to use this for a venue, how many do you think there've been since we were here last?
to do like a shower for like a, yeah, I've had several people want to do it, probably 10 for like a, I want to rent it for a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday. You know, I've got 20 people in my family, 25 people. We don't have a place to go. I don't want to go to a park or just go have a picnic table. Can I come in and, you know, most of that's been by word of mouth. They find out, well, I'd rather do that than go to, you know, to a park somewhere and sit on a bench. So you sort of come in, you got your own little space and, you know, and like I said, we've been, you know, you know, you try to get people that, you know, is going to respect your property and, you know, they're coming there for the right reasons. So,
And of those, you think they would have, I mean, what is your perception of how much of the grass they would have used?
probably, if any, 3 cars just pulled into the grass. And they could, like I said, you know, you really don't even have to pull out. You could just ease off one tire off the driveway, and there's plenty of room to get by. So,
Okay. And when I stand at the road and I look back at this area that you're proposing for the parking area, is there, what kind of landscaping is there?
there's nothing but big trees and grass until you get to that. You know, it's grass on both sides and big, huge trees. So standing from the road, you probably, unless a car's parked right there, like I said, you probably won't even notice that it's not on the asphalt, to be honest with you, because it's a long way off the road, and on either side, there's woods all the way around. The backyard is totally secluded. So like I said, it's nothing that's gonna stick out or be an eyesore.
Okay. Thank you.
Brooke had stated, and I just want to ask you about the western vegetation or the western side. You agree to,
Oh, absolutely. I was already going to plant evergreens there. When we first did this, the guy told me, he goes, look, I know you don't want to look over here at my place. You can put up a privacy fence if you want. I said, no, I'll just plant some evergreens, you know, just plant some evergreens up and down that side. He's more worried about me looking at him than, you know, it's like I said, you can't even see from his house. You nearby have to lay down and look under to even see the house, you know, our property over there, because the way it's situated. But yeah, I have no problem. I was already going to plant some of there anyway. Just hadn't done that yet.
I'll ask you in here in a minute. I'm going to call Brooke forward and ask her, but do you recall or do you know of any conditions that were placed on the B&B when it was first approved in February?
No, there really wasn't anything. The only thing was, you know, we hadn't put the sign up yet. We've got it. The only thing you asked me or one of you guys did was about lighting, and it's nothing gonna project on 42. We already got that in place, so there's nothing else changing. All that's, you know, I'm not asking to redo anything, or it's just sort of adding this so we can, you know, say, yeah.
Is there currently a sign for the
No,
B&B?
I hadn't put it up yet.
You plan on putting a
Yes.
sign up for the B&B?
And it's a small, you know, that doesn't stick out.
And do you plan on changing or doing anything for the private club as far as signage or lighting or? Okay. Any other questions for Donnie? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody here wishing to speak in favor?
I just want to just speak to clarify, sorry.
We've got microphones in the podium, so
Apologize.
if you can state your name and address,
David Matthew Washer, 7450 West Highway 42.
and if you can raise your right hand, be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, yeah.
I just met my neighbor, which is my fault, but I guess that it seems like this has addressed two concerns I had. First of all, the noise concerns was really, I'm the neighbor directly behind that little tip at the very bottom. So the noise would, in theory, carry over. At 10 o'clock, what Don's trying to do, that would fit, that would put me at comfort, you know, there. And then just to clarify on the parking lot, at first I thought that it was a gravel or pavement thing, and I would have a problem with that, but what he's requesting is very, well, again, my opinion, very reasonable, and it would keep in the spirit of the property. You could park, that area, you could park 30 or 40 cars, and I don't think that it would, I mean, barely be noticed from the road. So I would much rather prefer it as grass than anything other than that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah,
for
please.
Dave?
David, when he asked those to come up and to speak in favor of, when you stepped forward, it sounded like you might be opposed. Are you, so?
No, with the clarification, with the things that you've pointed out, the driveway and some sort of noise limitation, those are my only concerns. So I hesitate to say I'm for or against, but I have no issues with the way he's presented it to me. I have no issues with it.
Okay, so you were just seeking clarification.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, anybody else wishing to speak in favor? Okay, those opposed? Okay, Donnie, any final statements or board members?
I have a question for staff.
I do as well.
On the parking surface waiver, as listed in our handout, you say move to approve because of either A or B. Does it have to be within A or B on those, or is that I'm not familiar with this kind of waiver. We've not done this kind of thing that I remember. Or can there be a third? Because, for example, he's saying, I want to keep it in character of what it is. It will only be used basically for overflow. And is that an acceptable answer as opposed to just A or B?
I think that fits within B. The design innovations of this case, which will achieve the basic objectives of the regulations.
Thank you. That's all I need.
And Brooke, so from what I understand from the applicant's testimony, He has chosen an area which he is going to designate for parking, but in reality, I mean, that's not going to be used as such. People are going to just do like they do at my house when I have a party and park in the grass. So my thought process here is regarding the landscape and the requirement for the landscaping. If we require him to put landscaping in, say, right in front of that, and then everybody parks over there, is that, I mean, I'm kind of struggling with the necessity of that landscaping in this case because it's so far from the road and the number of evergreen trees already in place there. And I'm just trying to figure out what's right for this
Well,
application.
I mean, it specifically says in the conditional use permit requirements for a private club that they should meet the requirements of the landscaping. So he wouldn't be meeting the ordinance if he didn't install that on the side that he's proposing to put as parking.
So in your,
So I don't think you need to have if you want to remove the condition that I've suggested, I think that would be fine because either way he has to meet it or else he needs to ask for a waiver of that requirement.
so just to restate what I think I heard, to make sure I heard what you think you said, is that since that requirement is already in the zoning code, there's no necessity for us to put it in our motion, and if we
Correct.
don't, it'll be complied with anyway,
Yes. Yep. Staff will make sure that it's installed.
administratively. All right, thank you.
Brooke, real quick, the conditions for the bed and breakfast, he spoke to exactly where I was getting at, which was the lighting and signage.
Yes.
Were there any other conditions for the B and B?
It was just that it only applied to that
To that
hearing.
particular- okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for anybody in the audience, staff or anybody? Okay, I'll close the floor, open it up for general discussion.
I think the only thing that came up earlier was the no amplified sound after 10 PM. I would suggest we add that as a condition to our approval.
Do you want to add to that no amplified sound outside after 10 p.m.? Are they allowed to have music, amplified music, and microphones inside?
I'm kind of comfortable with where it is.
Okay.
We're in discussion mode, so if someone else has an opinion, but
Yeah,
The county has a noise ordinance already, does it not? Jim, we don't? Okay.
I'm comfortable with where it's at as well. If they have amplified music inside and the neighbors don't complain, then it's not going to be an issue. Hopefully, the neighbors will complain to the applicant first, but if not, then it'll be settled.
so a couple of other things that, the conditions for the B and B, I know you can have 2 conditional uses on a property. I just want to make sure that, do we need to state in the motion that the conditions set prior to this, remain in existence? Or do we want to include in the motion, there will be no additional signage or lighting other than, what's already permitted? So,
Kate, since that was a condition on the first conditional use permit, do we have to?
What was the condition? The only thing I remember is you had a little, no light on the sign out, no lighting on the sign out front, I think, as I recall. and just
You're
a-
only permitted to have one sign
Yeah, and
on this
and
property anyway, so that would be in conflict with the ordinance if they were to put an additional sign for the private club. They're only allowed to have one. And that was already mentioned in the original conditional use
I
permit.
think those conditions are there. I don't think you have to,
Yeah, they're there, so we don't have to state them in this one,
All right.
correct? Okay.
And the lighting, again, is a condition proposed here, so no additional lighting for the private club conditional use. That's number 3.
okay. Any other discussion?
Well, on that one, it says no lighting's permitted in front of the property. I guess we should say, just to be specific, in front of the main building, so it's defined? Is that what we're saying? Again, I'm trying to define the conditions specifically.
Yeah, so which one are you referring to?
Number 3?
you could add that.
Okay.
And I assume on the evergreen trees there, is that something that had been previously agreed to?
Well, I think
in the first one? Or
That's what Stephen was referring to, is that it's already part of, conditions for a private
To
club.
Stephen's point, I was planning on not putting that as part of my motion because it's already a requirement under section 300-070 as she stated in her presentation.
Right.
I mean, we could state it, but it's redundant.
Right.
I know he had talked about 10 o'clock. I know the neighbor had talked 10 o'clock. I think that's, Rob, what you're talking about, or whoever's going to make a motion here. Do we want to allow any consideration of maybe a little bit later, but just to have that little leadway? Or is everybody comfortable with 10 o'clock?
The applicant's satisfied with 10 o'clock, so I am.
I don't have a strong feeling on it one way or the other. He said 10, so I was prepared to go later. So if 10 o'clock's acceptable to him and that's what he wants for him and his neighbors, that's fine.
Any other discussion? Okay, willing to take a motion?
Move to approve OC-17-024, the conditional use, because the proposed use is essential to the community, not in conflict with the elements, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan, and granting the conditional use use permit will allow the proper integration into the community of a specifically named item in the zoning regulations. Conditions of approval are that the conditional use permit for the private event venue shall only apply to the application considered at the October 19th, 2017 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. The maximum capacity for events will be 50 people. No lighting is permitted in front of the main building and shall not trespass on adjoining properties, and no amplified sound after 10 p.m.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's been approved.
Can I
You
make,
got the second, you got
oh,
the second.
yeah, we gotta do the second
Yeah,
one.
you got to do it one at a time.
Before we move on to the second one, then, can I make a point here? I think what Brooke did in the presentation to say, for example, that 300-070 needs to be a part, or needs to be complied with by the person applying, I appreciate that it's in there, that we have to do it. The fact that we didn't put it in here doesn't mean I don't want to see it in future presentations. I appreciate that you're trying to make sure we're aware of everything, so.
Absolutely, it's valuable having it in there.
Ready to make a second motion? Or
Well,
any discussion on
any
this?
discussion on second part? Rob, or anybody that's getting ready to make a motion, are we thinking just grass, or are we going to specify that? It's of a non-dusting surface?
I think the fact that the regulation says it has to be non-dusting means they couldn't do something else, and they're asking for a waiver to do only grass. I don't know that we have to specify anything else that I can think of.
Any other discussion, thoughts? All right, willing to take a motion?
Move to approve the parking surface waiver due from section 260-340 for application OC-17-024 because the applicant has stated in the testimony that by having the waiver, the property will stay more in character for what it is and has been. I need to do the
Yeah, go ahead.
application considered, this waiver applies to the application considered at the October 19th, 2017 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing.
Okay, we've got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? It's been approved. Okay, Steve, you want to read the next one?
Yes, sir. Docket OC 17025, an application has been filed requesting a road frontage variance for a proposed tract located at 1802 East Mount Zion Road, Crestwood.
All right, good morning. Amy Alvey, Oldham County Planning Development Services. As Mr. Davis stated, this is an application for a road frontage variance for a proposed 1.64 acre tract. The property is zoned CO1 and AG1, CO1 conservation and AG1 agricultural. The overall tract size is 152.5 acres, and again, the proposed tract is 1.64 acres. This is an zoomed out view of the tract outlined there in red. The yellow circle there is the primary structure located on the farm. This is just a more zoomed in version. Like I said, it's a large tract, so it's hard to get a whole lot of detail in there. There have been no prior actions before the Oldham County Board of Adjustments. The total parcel size, as I'd stated before, is 152.5 acres with road frontage along Mount Zion Road of 958 feet. The applicant is proposing to create a 1.6 acre tract with 0 road frontage on his parents' farm to build a new home on. This is the survey that was provided by the applicant. The one on the left obviously is the entire survey of the property, and the one on the right is a zoomed in version. You'll see highlighted in blue. That is the site, proposed 1.64 acre site, and the road, the existing drive back to the primary structure is highlighted there in green. This is just the aerial of zoomed in, so you can kind of compare what's on the survey versus what is actually on the aerial. Circled there in green, those are the existing farm buildings. And then the highlighted or circled there in yellow, that is the primary structure that is located on the farm, and then the approximate location of the proposed tract. Section 020040 states the minimum road frontage requirements for parcels in AG1 zoning district less than 2.5 acres is 150 feet. The tract does have 958 feet of road frontage, but due to topography and limited highway site distance, the only practical location for the access is the current farm/residence entrance. That is from the applicant's justification statement. This is the contours of the property. Again, highlighted here in green is the existing driveway, and you can see along, there is a curve there in the road, and then you can see the natural draws of the land. If the variance request is approved, the existing drive will be placed in an access easement, which is part of the requirement through the minor plat review. So again, this is the existing drive highlighted in yellow, highlighted in green. The proposed drive to the track is highlighted in yellow. This is the view from the driveway looking to the east on East Mount Zion Road. This is the east adjoining property. You can't really see the house from the road. I stole this picture from PVA, so you would know what is there. But you can see where the star is located on the little map at the bottom of the page. That's the approximate location of the home. So it too is significantly recessed from East Mount Zion. This is the north view, so this is directly across the street from the applicant's drive. And then this is the west view. Again, you can see the existing curve in the road, and it's heavily treed. This is the entrance into the applicant's property. I put a yellow arrow there. This is the corner of the property owner's home, so it is fairly visible from the road. This is the applicant's home once you drive back. It's about 0.3 of a mile off of East Mount Zion Road. Section 020040, agricultural residential development districts. All the items there in yellow meet the requirements or the standards. The one highlighted in red, that is the road frontage requirement that is being requested today. The items in blue, those will be addressed at the time that if approved, at the time a building permit is applied for the primary structure on the proposed lot. That'll be the setbacks and restrictions for the primary structure. So in summary, they're asking for a road frontage variance. The required frontage is 150 feet. The proposed is 0, so they are requesting 150 feet variance. And that is all that I have.
Okay, questions for Amy? Okay, thank you. Okay, if we can have the applicant come forward. Morning.
Morning.
You could state your name and address.
Justin Harrod, 3615 Echo Valley Circle, LaGrange, Kentucky.
I'm Horace Harrod, 1802 East Mount Zion, Crestwood, Kentucky. I'm the property owner.
Okay.
Bob Vincent, 306 West Jefferson, LaGrange. I am the surveyor.
Okay, all right. If I can get you all sworn in.
Do solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right. Okay, Justin, you are the applicant. If you want to go ahead and kick it off.
Sure. Obviously, a proposed building site for a home. It will help us assist my parents in farm operations by living on the farm. They have approximately 75 head of beef cattle. We put up, about 400 bales of hay every year, round bales of hay every year. That'll allow me and my family to better assist in farm operations by living on site. My mother also provides primary child care for my kids. That will eliminate transportation. They'll be on the farm. And on top of that, it'll also provide a good experience for my kids. I enjoyed living on the farm. We'll be able to provide that same experience for my kids.
Okay. Horace, you are the property owner?
I am.
Okay, do you have anything else regarding the justification or application, or are you okay with the proposal?
I certainly am. Obviously the reason for the request for the variance is a shared driveway. We've got a limited site distance on the Mount Zion Road. This existing entrance that we would share is the safest point for us to have an entrance, and certainly okay with it. Be happy to have the kids and grandkids there on the farm.
Okay.
My question goes to the topography, so I'm asked Amy to put up that slide.
Okay.
Based on the topography here and the current buildings, the way, I can't remember exactly how Amy stated it, but basically it's restricted in terms of where you could even put in additional drives if we wanted to separate it. So if we go to 150 feet to there, would it be your testimony that that is true?
Yes, I think from a strictly site distance perspective, if you moved west on Mount Zion Road, you would have adequate site distance for an entrance, but the topography would probably require you to build if not a bridge, something substantial culvert with quite a bit of grade work done to access a property further west. I do think the road site distance would be adequate if you went west and created another driveway.
But then that would mean that you're actually crossing a road to
That's
get
correct.
to a drive to
Correct.
come across,
That's
which
correct.
doesn't make any logical sense.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
So testimony is this is a working farm?
It is.
What farm activities do you do, agricultural activities?
Beef cattle, have roughly 50 brood cows, and depending on whether I've still got calves, up to 100 head of cattle.
Okay, thank you.
Amy, could you put the requirements that, so I'm a little confused. Right now we're just thank you. How'd you know? Right now we're just asking for the road frontage. However, as soon as you start building, there's going to be setbacks and other regulations. You have do you have any expectations that these will not be met, or that you'll be back here again asking for setbacks?
Not at all. We surveyed the lot, the proposed lot, which is actually offset from the existing farm boundary lines. So you know, it would have very minimal impact to any neighbors at all. In fact, with the exception of perhaps one neighbor directly to the east, this home and lot would not even be visible from any direction to any other neighbor.
So I think the question there is that this lot, if approved, is a standalone lot, and so the setbacks apply to those lot lines. So I think we're really asking if you're anticipating putting this house in the center of that lot or nearer to one boundary or another. You understand?
Yes, we would expect to comply with all the setback requirements for this individual lot.
Have you considered that if there were ever a desire to build another building on that lot where it might be positioned, and that there wouldn't be any obstructions or need to come back for additional variances because of septic systems or placing of buildings or that sort of thing? Is that a clear question, or?
Yes.
I don't anticipate putting another building on that lot. There's adequate storage space on the family farm for, you know, I don't anticipate putting another outbuilding on the lot at this point.
He's going to use Dad's barns.
Good plan.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody here wishing to speak in favor? Opposed? Okay, board members, questions for anybody?
I have a question for staff, please. So I recollect, and I'm not familiar with in the code, that when it's a working farm and a home is being built for a farm hand, I'm not saying that that's the case here, but maybe it is. Can you direct me in the codes to what that?
There's a provision through Kentucky Revised Statutes from KRS 100 that will allow for provisions for farm workers if they primarily work on the farm.
Okay.
So you can ask me or you can ask the applicant, but the applicant is a police officer. So that will not be his primary, and this gives them their own site.
All right, I'm not sure that it even is going to have any bearing on this
Sure.
case, but
Sure.
I probably.
Yeah, there is provisions that allow more than one residential structure on a property for farm workers or farm workers that are family as well.
Maybe I'll just ask you to show me where that is after.
I can
when
do
we're
that,
doing our
absolutely.
training. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Close the floor, open it up for general discussion.
I think this is a clear case of where special circumstances do apply because of the topography of the land. Testimony has been backed that up based on the presentation given by staff and then the testimony by the applicant that it would have to, you could build one, but you'd have to put in bridges or culverts, and then that would cause you to cross the drive that's currently in the state to get to that second drive, which means would you ever really want to use it if you were driving off the property? So it does seem like a pretty easy one in terms of special circumstances applying.
Okay. Anything else? All right, I'm willing to take a motion.
Move to approve OC-17-025 based on the fact that the testimony is that special circumstances apply to this property because of the topography that would restrict or cause potential undue hardship to build a second drive access that would actually cross the current drive. Move to approve because it will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, and will not allow unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations. The variance shall only apply to the application considered at the October 19th, 2017 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's been approved. Okay. Other business?
Oh, you have minutes to approve. Oh, sorry. Never mind. Under other business, you have the annual review. This is the last of the 4-year requirement that you all had put on original approval from 2013 for 1111 Dawkins Road. Let me grab my folder. This was the original certificate of land use restriction. The property was owned or is owned by RK Realty, and the applicants were James and Paulette Lawson. And this was for the conditional use permit to allow the continuation of an existing salvage yard. These were the conditions of approval. So we've gone through that. We've come every year in either in October or November to go through. We had our code enforcement officer went out, took pictures. I'll show you those here in a minute. And the applicants are here as well to answer if you have any other technical questions on it. But we have not received any complaints through our office about the condition of the property or operation of the business located there. So I will show you a few pictures here. This is just shows the adjoining property side yards that is being maintained. This is the fence that they said that they would keep under maintenance, you know, for the screening. Uh-oh. This is the business. Just shows that, you know, there's no vehicles parked outside of the business other than their own for parking, customer parking. Again, this is just shows that the fence is intact for screening. This is inside of the salvage yard. So I think this is just part, again, of your annual review process. If Jim wants to add anything to show that they have been in compliance with the conditions of the original approval back in 2013 of those conditions.
About halfway down in those bullet points, no parking or storage of any vehicles, equipment, or junk is allowed outside the fenced area except for after-hours customer vehicle pickup. I'm in the habit of driving home that way every evening, going back behind the prison, so I kind of check and I can verify that 97% of the time there are not excessive customer vehicles parked out there at all. Occasionally there's a few that are out there when I'm leaving at 5 or 5:30. So along with the code enforcement officer's pictures and I guess it's sort of testimony, but every day I basically Monday through Friday check, and I find them that they're always in compliance with that requirement. So
I think you may have misspoke. You said 97% of the time there's not excessive. So it means 3% of the time there is excessive?
occasionally there are a number of vehicles out there, but they're always gone the next day.
Okay, but
So-
they're not in excess of 12, is what,
No,
what the
no, this is
regulation.
storage outside,
Fourth bullet.
fourth
No
bullet.
more than 12 customer vehicles.
I'm sorry. They're not more than 12, that's correct. I'm
that's-
sorry.
okay.
I'm just addressing the one in the middle that, nothing outside except for customer pickup.
You're
and-
saying a positive statement, I just want to make sure
I'm
it's
really
clear.
trying to make it a positive, and I apologize for the double negative. Stand corrected.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, their property is generally in good order.
Thank you.
Okay,
So what do we need to do here? Is there an approval, or is it just a review, or do we need to make any motions, or?
Again, there was the condition that for a period of 4 years, we, in this meeting, under other business, just review the conditions that were placed on the property. Every year that we've come back, it's been in compliance. Under KRS 100, we're required to annually look at the conditions placed on a property, and normally we don't have other business hearing like this, but in this particular case, since it was a new startup, we wanted to make sure. So I think this is the last time that they're required to come back, and again, this was just a check when you granted conditional use of this property to continue the salvage operation. So I think really, I can't remember what we did last year.
My
Maybe just-
recollection is we just noted the information.
That's correct.
I would also note that the director drives by this property every day, so even though we're not reviewing it next year, it is reviewed daily.
Right, and they're here if you want to ask them any questions or tell them that they really didn't even need to appear, in my opinion, because again, it's in good order.
It's good to see that they chose to, though. That shows they have an interest in their business
Right.
and the community.
okay. So any,
I think we just accept the staff report that the conditions are being met,
That
and that
noted
this
in
is
the
the
notes.
last time that they officially need to be here as part of this, and keep up the good work, I guess, would be a appropriate thing to say.
so note it. Any other discussions? Okay, minutes. Everybody was, received the minutes. Were there any changes or modifications? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Minutes are approved.
For the, Mr. Chairman, this next month, I will be at trade shows during the month, so I will miss next month's meeting. So if 2 more people miss,
Do we have,
We already have one application that has been received by staff for a Board of Adjustments case next month, so we will have a November hearing. So
okay,
please let me know if you cannot attend other than Rob to ensure that we will have a quorum.
any other business? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting adjourned.
mic's off.